Please proceed to your seats as the briefing will commence shortly. Kindly switch off your phone or put it on silent mode throughout the proceedings. Thank you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, before we begin the briefing, let us rise for the ASEAN anthem. Thank you. Please be seated. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. We are delighted to welcome you to the ASEAN Hall for the briefing on the outcomes of the 58th ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting and related meetings, which will be delivered by His Excellency Dr. Kao Kim Horn, Secretary General of ASEAN. For this occasion, it is our pleasure to welcome members of the Diplomatic Corps in Jakarta. We are also delighted that representatives from the ASEAN Committee in Third Countries and International Organizations, ACTC, are attending the briefing virtually. This briefing is also live-streamed to the public through the ASEAN Secretariat YouTube channel. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we would like to kindly invite His Excellency Dr. Kao Kim Horn, Secretary General of ASEAN, to deliver his briefing. SG Dr. Kao, the floor is yours, please.
Your Excellencies, ambassadors of the ASEAN member states, our dialogue partners, sectoral dialogue partners, different partners, external partners. Of course, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, who join us here physically, but also those who join us virtually. Welcome to this press briefing on outcomes of the ASEAN ministerial meetings, the 58th ASEAN ministerial meeting and related meetings that took place just last week. The theme for this year, 2025, under Malaysian ASEAN Chairmanship is inclusivity and sustainability. And I want to highlight one of the key issues that was well articulated by the Honorable Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim, Prime Minister of Malaysia and ASEAN Chair for this year, during the opening ceremony. And I think this is a very important point. That's why I want to highlight that we see ASEAN, and I quote, not as nations moving in parallel, but as one community moving with purpose, end quote. I think that captures the spirit of ASEAN. So this afternoon, what I'll do is that because so many meetings, we're trying and provide some snapshots of what I consider to be the highlights, the key issues that were discussed, that were able to reach an agreement by the ASEAN state, but of course also between ASEAN and our dialogue partners, and of course also by meeting with the sectoral dialogue partners as well through the trilateral meetings. This year, 58 AMM and related meetings took place at a different time compared to last year. The reason, because if you look at the setting, the global setting, then we have the new US administration in Washington that started in January. We have the ongoing war in Ukraine, the widening conflict in the Middle East, trade and tariffs wars that are taking place. So there's many things that are happening. Under Malaysia chairmanship this year, of course, Malaysia has been able to guide ASEAN, lead ASEAN. And that's why the 58 AMM and related meetings took place between from the 5th to 11th of July 2025 was a very critical juncture. And of course, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the Honorable Dato Sri Fatimah Haji Muhammad bin Haji Hassan, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Malaysia, for his very able chairmanship of these series of meetings. You probably know that there were a number of issues, documents were issued, but the main document that was issued was the joint communique of the 58 AMM, as you could download from the website. This is the main document for this particular year for the AMM, highlighting all the key issues under the purview of the ASEAN foreign ministers. In addition, of course, the AMM adopted the ASEAN foreign ministers' decision on enhancing relations with external parties, which, in the words of the AMM chair, and I quote, "It is a strategic effort to expand and strengthen ASEAN's global outreach, aligned with the ASEAN community vision 2045, end quote. This is one of the highlights that this year we're looking at how ASEAN can continue to deepen and expand its external relations with our partners. Also, the key outcomes that came out, of course, I want to emphasize that there were a series of discussions on the plan actions. Some were able to complete just during the PMC. Others continue, will be adopted later on. But of course, we were able to complete Plan Action 2026-2030 with India, with South Korea. Those were adopted. With China, we have ASEAN China Plan Action 2026-2030 has been agreed upon, and of course will be adopted through a referendum. Also, we have the joint statement on Australia and ASEAN's shared future. The first statement on ASEAN 2045, our shared future with dialogue partner, was also adopted. A draft ASEAN New Zealand joint vision statement on the 50th anniversary of ASEAN New Zealand dialogue relations was endorsed for adoption at the upcoming ASEAN New Zealand Commemorative Summit in October this year. Overall, I can say that because I attend most of the meetings, I could share with you, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, that the minister had very frank and in-depth discussions. And certainly, for the ASEAN Foreign Minister, I could see the spirit of the one ASEAN family meeting together at a critical time. The ASEAN Foreign Minister, of course, examined global and regional developments impacting ASEAN, including the tariffs issue, the situation in Myanmar, of course, the conflicts in the Middle East and Ukraine. So all of these are very, very important issues that the ASEAN Foreign Minister had spent considerable time discussed in the plenary and retreat sessions. Also, a series of meetings provided a venue for ASEAN member states to have their extensive bilateral meetings with each other, of course, with the dialogue partners also. I always say at the AMM and related meetings, there are always meetings within meetings. In total, there were 156 meetings, bilateral meetings, I should say, that took place during this short period of time, that there were so many ongoing meetings that just ran parallel. Of course, on my own, I had a number of also bilateral meetings, polar side, standing meeting, quarterly meetings, and a lot of them. On TEC, the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in Southeast Asia, I'm pleased to report to you that 2 new countries, Algeria and Uruguay, will sign. They signed the TEC, first by their foreign ministers, formally acceded to the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in Southeast Asia. So now, in total, bringing to 57 high contracting parties today. Also, all these meetings had extensive coverage by media. In fact, there were a total of 1,204 media outlets that register and cover the series of meetings. So I think we had a very extensive coverage by the media of the AMM and related meetings. Let me just move on very quickly to the specific meetings. I will start with the 58 ASEAN Foreign Minister meeting, or called 58 AMM. The AMM, as usual, is divided into 2 sessions, the plenary session and retreat session. The retreat, usually the minister would have the opportunity to focus on more strategic, sensitive political issues, where they spend a lot of time discussing freely, and will be accompanied by less official rather than the plenary session. The minister, of course, will brief for the very first time by a newly established called the ASEAN Geo-Economic Strategy Task Force that was set up by the ASEAN economic ministers. And the foreign minister will brief on the latest developments with regard to the economic trade situation that impacting ASEAN. To provide a broader, clearer picture to the ASEAN foreign minister. And I think the decision by the ASEAN economic minister to set up this task force was to make sure that ASEAN is able to continue to monitor, analyze the ongoing developments. In fact, the briefing is supposed to be not very long, but I think it took quite a bit of time because there were a lot of interest by the ASEAN Foreign Minister in engaging with the two members from the co-chair from the task force. And of course, the task force basically is mandated to examine the impact on ASEAN of the recent geoeconomic developments. So I think it's quite important. As the outcome of this is that the foreign minister agree that they will meet with the ASEAN economic minister. This is something we have not done for a very, very long time, to have the foreign minister and the economic minister sitting down together. So I think they agreed to sit down to discuss together between these two major mechanisms of ASEAN. Also, I think what's important is that the recommendation is that we have to focus on the ASEAN mechanism. We have to leverage on them at the same time to continue to leverage on the FTAs ASEAN has, as well as the regional comprehensive economic partnerships, to ensure that these become the shock absorber, basically as something that will help ASEAN go through the current period. I'd like to also move on to the other issue that the minister discussed, and that is Timor-Leste membership in ASEAN. Certainly, of course, the ASEAN forums follow up on the decision that was made by the ASEAN leaders on May 26th of this year during the 46th ASEAN Summit. And that's, of course, how to prepare Timor-Leste to become a full member by October of this year during the 47th ASEAN Summit. The meeting, in fact, the ASEAN forums adopted the guidelines to facilitate Timor-Leste's accession to ASEAN legal instruments under the ASEAN Foreign Minister meeting. Of course, the key documents, two key documents that will have to finalize through the internal process by ASEAN member state, but also by Timor-Leste. One is the Declaration of Admission of Timor-Leste, and second, the instrument of accession to the ASEAN Charter. And I think this is will have to be done between now before the 47th ASEAN Summit. The ASEAN Foreign Minister also review the ASEAN external relations. I think they spent a bit of time there to look at how ASEAN will continue to engage the relation between ASEAN and the external partners. And of course, they emphasize the importance of ASEAN centrality and unity in engaging with external partners through various ASEAN mechanisms, which is the key to facing global uncertainties and the challenges, as well as advancing the ASEAN Community Vision 2045. I want to also report to you that the meeting, the foreign minister approved the request of Cyprus, Italy, and Sweden to exceed the TAC. So the three countries, the new three countries that are expected to sign the TAC in the very near future, since this has been approved by the ASEAN foreign ministers. Also, the foreign minister tasked the ASEAN secretary to undertake the assessment of requests of Belgium, Croatia, and Lithuania, the other three countries that have requested to exceed the TAC as well. I want to stress the fact that the TAC has become a key instrument over so many years now. The fact that for ASEAN, this is the key instrument on how we conduct interstate relations. And the TAC will be continue to be exceeded by other interested countries as well. I like to move on a little bit. I can see that during the retreat, the foreign minister had their full discussions on regional and international issues. Particularly, they discuss Ukraine, Gaza. Also, they touch on here issue closer to home here, such as the sea, and of course, situation in Myanmar. On Myanmar, the meeting underscored that the 5-point consensus still is a key document that represents ASEAN's efforts to assist Myanmar, particularly in reaching a peaceful and doable solution to the current political crisis, with the ultimate objective of achieving a Myanmar-led, Myanmar-owned solution. Although the progress has been limited in terms of implementation of 5-point consensus, the minister still commended the efforts of the special envoy of the ASEAN chair, as well as the ASEAN chair, in advancing the implementation of 5-point consensus. And certainly, there's discussion on making sure that the special envoy would have longer term. I think this is something that we're looking at, how we will come up with a longer term on the role of special envoy of ASEAN chair. On Myanmar will become maybe the special envoy of ASEAN. What is important also is that the ASEAN appointments are called for the extension of ceasefires to be established and the immediate cessation of all violence in Myanmar in order to create conducive condition or environment for constructive dialogue among all parties concerned in Myanmar. At the same time, as has been stressed by the chair, that with regard to the call for election by Myanmar, that certainly we want to see a conducive environment for the election that being planned, and that's something that it has to have appropriate the right condition. I also want to share with you on the issue that usually been coming up regularly in our conversation, our meetings, and that is on the strategic autonomy of ASEAN. On this issue, of course, because the geopolitical and geoeconomic developments, the meeting stressed the importance of maintaining ASEAN's strategic autonomy and ensuring that it's not drawn into choosing side between the major powers. I think this is a very important point that has been discussed by our foreign ministers. At the same time, of course, that ASEAN continue to focus on how we can make sure that the recent developments in the region, of course, around the world, that will not undermine what we're doing here in the region. Of course, we see what's happening around the world now is undermine the rules-based international order, and the meeting emphasize the importance of dialogue and diplomacy, peaceful resolution of conflicts, and commitment to multilateralism. This is something that our opponents keep discuss extensively. On the South China Sea, the meeting, of course, discussed and expressed on the current developments and emphasize the commitment to the full and effective implementation of the Declaration of Conduct of Parties in South China Sea, that's DOC, and working toward the conclusion of effective and substantive code of conduct. And of course, it's planned to conclude this by mid-2026. Again, this is something that we'd like to see be done. Yes. With regard to the Middle East, the conflict in the Middle East, the meeting called for a lasting ceasefire and unhindered humanitarian access, while calling all parties to exercise restraint and resolve the differences through dialogue and diplomacy. I think, again, it's very clear that in the discussions, some of the ministers have raised some of this issue as well. Let me move on quickly to the Southeast Asian Nuclear Weapon-Free Zone Commission meeting that also took place back-to-back with the AMM. The key issue here is that first, the meeting took note of Timor-Leste anticipated accession to the Sunfast Treaty during the 47th ASEAN Summit, this upcoming summit. We expect that Timor-Leste will be acceding to the Sunfast Treaty. I want to recall that during the meeting of the Sunfast Commission in May, prior to the 46th ASEAN Summit, the Commission adopted an addendum to the Sunfast Treaty, enabling the accession of Timor-Leste to the treaty. So the processes are complete. When the process is complete, we expect to be complete very soon. The accession of Timor-Leste to the Sunfast Treaty would mark another milestone in Timor-Leste integration to ASEAN community. So this is something we're working on right now. We hope that it will be done by the time we have the next summit. Also, the emphasis that have been focused on by the commission, the meeting of the Sunfast Commission, is the situation what's happening right now around the world, particularly with regard to the geopolitical developments, and that is the nuclear card is being played out in connection with the conflicts recently took place, particularly in the Middle East, Ukraine example. Because of this, of course, for our region, Southeast Asia, we want to remain a zone which is free of nuclear weapons. Along this line, the minister welcomed the renewed interest by nuclear weapon states, in particular France, UK, and US, to engage in discussion with ASEAN regarding their accession to the Sunfast Protocol. The meeting also took note of the readiness of China to sign the protocol without a reservation. So China has indicated already come forward that it's ready to sign the protocol without stating any reservations. So again, our meeting took note of that. At the same time, the meeting took note of the ongoing discussions within ASEAN regarding the matters of reservation and the informal assurances to be provided by the nuclear weapon states. Actually, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that we've been discussing for so many years already in ASEAN, that we like to have our nuclear weapon-free zone being recognized by the nuclear weapon states. And of course, also that we will continue to work to enhance the profile of the Sunfast Treaty through continued engagement with the United Nations and other nuclear weapon-free zones. After that, the ASEAN Foreign Minister had the engagement with the ASEAN Intergovernmental Commission on Human Rights, or ICHR. This is an annual dialogue that they have with ICHR. And in this interface, the minister would take notes of all the efforts that have been done by ICHR, including the need for ICHR to continue to contribute to the ASEAN community building, as well as to strengthen cross-pillar, cross-sectoral collaboration and coordination, particularly with regard to the human rights issue, and certainly the issues that now they're focusing on, including environmental protection, climate change, artificial intelligence, misuse of digital technology and online space, mental health, trafficking in person, business and human rights, among others. I also had my opportunity to engage on a regular basis with ICHR as well. So the engagement between the Secretary General of ASEAN and ICHR separately. So our engagement is that I want to make sure that the ICHR will continue to do the work in realignment with the ASEAN Community Vision 2045, particularly mainstreaming human rights across all ASEAN community, as well as embracing innovation, enhancing responsiveness, and building future readiness for institutional strengthening, and taking an integrated and balanced approach in charting its mandate, as well as promoting inclusive dialogue, long-term thinking, and solution-oriented cooperation. Let me move quickly to the post-ministerial conferences. We have 11 post-ministerial conferences with our dialogue partners. overall, I would like to sum up the issues that came up through the post-ministerial conferences with all dialogue partners. I have identified the five common points that emerged during the discussion. First is that our dialogue partners are by and large ready to support the newly adopted ASEAN Community Vision 2045, our shared future, which is ASEAN's 20-year vision. So I think our dialogue partners recognize that we have this ASEAN Community Vision 2045, and their readiness to work with us very closely. Second is their continued support for implementation of the ASEAN Outlook on the Indo-Pacific, AOIP, through particularly practical areas of cooperation. Third, our partners consistently convey their support and readiness to play a role in the realization of the ASEAN Power Grid project. The ASEAN Power Grid project is a very important project for ASEAN. This is something that we've been working on for a long time, but only this year that we are able to really pushing to the front with the full endorsement and support by our leaders. Fourth, they express appreciation to ASEAN's transition to clean and green energy. And there, of course, they express their readiness to support this as well. So ASEAN, of course, despite the fact that we are working on the energy transition, particularly on renewable energy, we need to work with our partners who are interested to work with us. Finally, all our partners look forward to the conclusion of the Digital Economy Framework Agreement, DIFA, which we've been negotiating since September 2023. And we expect to conclude to have the substantial outcomes of different negotiations within this year. And we want to be very ambitious in terms of this agreement. Also, overall, our partners had extensive discussions in terms of their exchange of views on a wide range of regional and global issues, including Ukraine, the Middle East, Myanmar, South China Sea, North Korea, for example. So these are some of the issues that I would say coming up in the discussions. Now, let me start with Australia. The PMC +1 with Australia focused entirely on the current ongoing cooperation that we have between the two sides. And that is, of course, including the cooperation programs that provide by Australia, particularly ASEAN Future Initiative, the Australia for ASEAN Scholarship Program, the Australia for ASEAN Digital Transformation, Future Skill Initiative, of course, the work of ASEAN Australia Center, as well as other issues such as the digital economy, agriculture, and energy transition. The meeting welcomed Australia's strong support for the AOIP, the implementation of the ASEAN Australia Center counter trafficking program, and the ASEAN Australia Political Security Partnership, include the ongoing cooperation projects, particularly, I think I heard clearly some of the ministers mention that it's good to see this project that Australia has been working on, and that is on conflict prevention in the region. Something that I think it's an ongoing work that Australia has been working on with ASEAN. Also, they reaffirmed the importance of ASEAN-Australia, New Zealand Free Trade Area, UNSWATA, and the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership in promoting and enhancing economic integration and economic cooperation between the two sides. Also, the meeting highlighted the ASEAN-Australia Energy Cooperation Program in supporting efforts to accelerate the region transition to renewable and clean energy. Here, I think the work with the ASEAN Center for Energy I think by Australia, something that also was focused as well. With Canada, because in anticipation of the 50th anniversary of the ASEAN-Canada relations in 2027, during Singapore's chairmanship of ASEAN, ASEAN and Canada committed to harness the full potential of their strategic partnership, particularly in the following areas: win peace and security, international crime, cybersecurity, food security, education, people exchange, and of course also disaster management, connectivity, climate change, among others. The meeting also noted Canada's commitment to further enhancing the ASEAN-Canada strategic partnership and to align its Indo-Pacific strategy with AOIP. Of course, ASEAN and Canada look forward to the substantial conclusion of the ASEAN-Canada Free Trade Agreement negotiations. ASEAN and Canada have been negotiating for the free trade agreement for some time already. But this year, the negotiation moved from virtual to physical. So we hope that this will be concluding as early as possible. With China, the meeting welcomed China's proposal to designate 2026 as the ASEAN-China year to commemorate the 5th anniversary of the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. Both sides welcomed the full conclusion of the ASEAN-China Free Trade Agreement 3.0 upgrade negotiations, which is anticipated to be signed at the ASEAN-China Summit in October this year. So again, after a long time of negotiation, ASEAN-China are able to upgrade the FTA to 3.0. So it will be done in October this year. This will enhance existing cooperation and introduce new areas, including digital economy, green economy, supply chain connectivity, competition and consumer protection, as well as support for MSME. I also want to highlight that for DIFA, ASEAN welcomes China proposed ASEAN-China Digital Plan of Action 2026-2030, and ASEAN-China Digital Academy as complementary initiatives. Both sides also reaffirm commitment to enhancing political security cooperation, including non-traditional security issues and transnational crime. ASEAN reaffirmed the importance of the AOIP and encouraged China's cooperation in the implementation of the AOIP. ASEAN, of course, also reaffirms commitment to full and effective implementation of DOC in its entirety, and that was to include the CSC negotiation by 2026. Also, ASEAN China highlighted, of course, in their meeting, the need to enhance cooperation in sustainable development, including the areas of green energy, clean energy, agriculture, innovation, environment, disaster management, among others. The meeting, of course, also appreciate China's support for ASEAN energy transition. I think it's very important, particularly now we work on toward the ASEAN, we'll call low carbon transition here. ASEAN welcome China's support for the ASEAN Power Grid Initiative. The meeting, of course, also encouraged great cooperation in the areas of connectivity between the two sides. ASEAN welcome China's rolling out of ASEAN visa for ASEAN member states and Timor-Leste. China recently announced that it has put out ASEAN visa for business people from ASEAN so that they can travel easier to China, for example. With regard to the European Union, I think there's also a lot of discussions there. ASEAN acknowledged the EU's key flagship initiatives, particularly the Global Gateway, the Sustainable Connectivity Package, the Green Team Europe initiative, of course, in support of the ASEAN community building. At the same time, the meeting underscored the importance of ensuring synergy between AOIP and the EU strategy for cooperation in the Indo-Pacific. The meeting agreed that both sides and the EU need to deepen trade and investment ties, And of course, particularly to work together through the implementation of the ASEAN EU Trade and Investment Work Program that we have between the two sides. They also highlight the importance of advancing sectoral cooperation in air transport connectivity, digital and circular economy, green technology, cybersecurity, intellectual property rights, environment, education, and clean energy. All of this cooperation, they believe that they constitute the building blocks towards working toward an ASEAN EU free trade agreement in the future. I want to share with you that at the moment we are thinking about the 50th anniversary, of course, working toward the 50th anniversary of the ASEAN EU direct relations in 2027. Again, during the Singapore Championship of ASEAN, the EU has reiterated its proposal to convene a commemorative summit with ASEAN. And of course, they want to see the upgrade partnership also to a CSP. On the EU side, the initiative on the EU side. India, another session that we had was with India. Both sides reaffirmed their commitment to harness the full potential of ASEAN and India comprehensive security partnership, with each side encouraging the other to explore practical cooperation in areas such as in the defense sector, cybersecurity, and efforts to combat international crime and terrorism. ASEAN and India look forward to deeper integration, including through the full and effective implementation of the ASEAN-India Free Trade Area, and timely conclusion of the negotiations to upgrade the ASEAN-India Trade and Goods Agreement. So again, we've been negotiating with ASEAN and India to upgrade the ASEAN-India Trade and Goods Agreement. And they express support for ASEAN initiatives in emerging areas such as DIFA, ASEAN Power Grid, and of course also to cooperate with the digital economy, AI, and the financial technology. Both sides, ASEAN and India, of course, this year designated the year as the ASEAN-India Year of Tourism, and next year, 2026, as the ASEAN-India Year of Maritime Cooperation. And I think this is something that both sides will be announcing at the upcoming summit. And certainly, of course, also both sides look forward to convening the second ASEAN-India Maritime Exercise in 2026. It's a key initiative as one of the cooperation under the framework between ASEAN and India. Japan, ASEAN welcomes Japan's interest in strengthening political security cooperation and commends Japan's active participation and contribution to ASEAN defense and cybersecurity capacity building program. ASEAN, of course, also encourage closer cooperation in other areas of interest, including cybersecurity, maritime security, non-proliferation, disarmament, law, and justice. I think among all the other partners, we have law and justice cooperation between ASEAN and Japan. The meeting, of course, also underscored the importance of strengthening trade, investment, and economic cooperation as a cornerstone of ASEAN-Japan relations. Both sides are committed to the effective and steady implementation of the ASEAN-Japan Comprehensive Economic Partnership, as well as the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership among the 15 countries. ASEAN welcomes Japan's support for region's efforts in digital transformation, including DIFA. Of course, also the meeting discussed on the need to capitalize on the current cooperation that we have between us and Japan. We have a number of areas of cooperation, particularly under the Japan-ASEAN Integration Fund. We have many programs, Japan-ASEAN Comprehensive Connectivity Initiative. Of course, also we welcome Japan's support for ASEAN energy transition efforts, including the power grid. We have long-standing cooperation with Japan, between us and Japan in the areas of youth, education, sports, culture, talent exchange, among others. With New Zealand, the meeting welcomed the 50th anniversary of ASEAN-New Zealand dialogue relations and endorsed the ASEAN-New Zealand leaders' joint vision statement, which means ready to be adopted by the leaders at the upcoming ASEAN-New Zealand Commemorative Summit in October this year. Of course, also to launch the ASEAN-New Zealand Comprehensive Security Partnership. This is an important development there. The meeting was also look forward to deepening cooperation and collaboration in maritime security, cybersecurity, international crimes, among others. Of course, also we work with New Zealand in the under UNSPOTA, the ASEAN Australia New Zealand Free Trade Area. In fact, in April this year, we had this agreement, the upgrade, the protocol went into effect, the second protocol to amend the agreement establishing UNSPOTA went into effect. I think that well recognized, was well recognized. ASEAN, of course, welcome New Zealand's long-standing support for people-to-people exchanges, education, capacity building through initiatives such as Young Diplomat Study Tour, as well as other initiatives that we have between the two sides. Let me move on to Republic of Korea. ASEAN and Republic of Korea reaffirmed their commitment to further strengthen cooperation to address non-traditional security and emerging security challenges, including cybersecurity, maritime security, international crime. The meeting was reaffirmed the importance of the OIP and encouraged the full and effective implementation of the ASEAN-Korea Free Trade Agreement and the RCEP. Of course, the meeting welcomed the preparations for negotiation on ASEAN-Korea FTA upgrade, which will start next year. So again, it took quite a bit of time between ASEAN and Korea to agree. Now we agreed that we will upgrade our FTA next year, and other new developments as well. Of course, also both sides discuss and look forward to promoting more capacity building, transfer knowledge, expertise, and advanced technology to ASEAN businesses, including MSMEs and startups. The meeting encouraged, of course, OK to expand cooperation on the areas of expertise that Korea has, including science, technology, and innovation, digital economy, to support particular DIFA, creative industry, smart infrastructure, smart agriculture, smart city, smart mobility, and future industries. Also, ASEAN welcomes OK support for the ASEAN power grid. In that regard, the meeting underlined the significance of closer people-to-people ties and cultural exchanges. And ASEAN appreciate OK's contribution to human resource development through the various capacity building programs. For Russia, both sides reaffirmed their commitment to strengthen political security cooperation, particularly in addressing non-traditional security challenges and international crime. The meeting welcomed the finalization of the ASEAN plus Russia senior official meeting on international crime, a work plan on cooperation to combat international crime 2025-2028 as a key framework to guide joint efforts. The meeting was also welcomed the opportunity for deep engagement in areas such as energy, tourism, and green growth, and encouraged for support from Russia for DIFA and the ASEAN Power Grid. With UK, the meeting looked forward to celebrating the 5th anniversary of the ASEAN-UK dialogue relations. I think UK is our new dialogue partner, but now it's already going to be 50 already next year, very fast. So I think we welcome this very much for next year, that we will be commemorating the 5th anniversary. Both sides reaffirmed their commitment to enhance political security cooperation, okay, in areas of non-traditional security issues, international crime, cybersecurity, I think among others. ASEAN welcomes UK engagement with ASEAN-led mechanism, including being an observer in the ASEAN Defense Ministers Meeting Plus, expert working groups on military medicine and on maritime security, as well as its engagement with the senior official meeting on transnational crime, or SOMTC. Also, I look forward to deeper economic integration, including through the full and effective implementation of the ASEAN-UK Economic Integration Program and the initiatives such as the ASEAN-UK Digital Innovation Partnership and the UK Asia-Pacific Digital Trade Network, which of course would complement ASEAN's effort related to DIFA. ASEAN also welcomes UK's commitment to climate action, notably through programs such as ASEAN-UK Green Transition Fund in cooperation with ASEAN Center for Energy on Transition Planning and the ASEAN Center for Biodiversity on Nature Restoration, as well as the support joint research and capacity building initiative supporting the ASEAN Center for Climate Change. This is a new center that's been set up in Brunei, Jerusalem. And we hope that this is gaining more momentum with support from UK. Finally, on the US, this is through the alphabetical order. Yes. For the United States, of course, you can see that the Honorable U.S. Secretary of State attended the Post-ministerial conferences, plus the United States for the very first time. You can see the Foreign Minister extend warm welcome to the U.S. Secretary of State, and they had very intensive discussions as well on the wide range of issues. And I think both sides certainly discussed how they can enhance cooperation to address number of issues, include transnational crime, combat drug trafficking, online scam, trafficking person, terrorism, cybersecurity. Of course, also discussing public health, environment, climate change, as well as education use. A wide range of issues, of course, also the need to leverage the established ASEAN-US Center in Washington, D.C. The meeting welcomed the United States continued support for strengthening digital transformation cooperation and encourage support for ASEAN's initiatives such as DIFA. The reason because the US, as you know, has been the number one source of FDI in the region here. And they have big companies, particularly working in the digital sector. ASEAN reiterated its intention to engage in a frank and constructive dialogue with the US to address trade-related concerns and maintain strong mutual beneficial trade relations with the United States. ASEAN stands ready to engage the US constructively through existing mechanisms, such as the ASEAN-US Trade and Investment Framework Arrangement, TIFA, Work Plan, and dialogue between ASEAN Economic Minister and the US Trade Representative to explore mutually acceptable solution on issues of common interest. We, of course, appreciate the US active participation and ASEAN mechanism and commended its support for the objectives and principles of the AOIP. The meeting, of course, also acknowledged the reiteration by the US of its commitment to ASEAN and that the Indo-Pacific remains a central focus for the US. I think, again, US Secretary of State has clearly articulated this point that ASEAN remains matter important to the United States. Let me move on quickly to three other meetings, key meetings, and that is ASEAN +3 Foreign Minister meeting, the EAS Foreign Minister meeting, and the ASEAN Regional Forum. I will just go very briefly. For the ASEAN +3 Foreign Minister meeting, of course, there have been discussion moving back since the establishment of the APT back in 1997, because APT was born with a crisis during the Asian financial crisis back in 1997. So again, this mechanism has been evolving dramatically over the time. And of course, that they would not only address economic related issues, but of course also all the emerging issues and challenges. And of course, to work to promote resilient and sustainable development within the region, particularly in addressing a wide range of issues, including climate change, food and energy security, green economy, circular economy. Under the APT framework, of course, there's collaboration against transnational crime and border management through the ASEAN Plus, ASEAN Ministry meeting on transnational crime, +3 consultation. Again, under this is that we have various mechanisms set up under ASEAN +3 cooperation. Also, the importance of ASEAN +3 finance process in enhancing regional economic and financial stability, particularly through the Chiang Mai Initiative, multilateralization, the ASEAN Bond Markets Initiative, and the Disaster Risk Financing Initiative, as well as ASEAN +3 Macroeconomic Research Office, which is based in Singapore. Their work is very important. I think it's the ASEAN +3, of course, discuss a wide range of issues, including the need to make sure that we have food security is in place, particularly under the ASEAN +3 Food Security Information System, and of course under the ASEAN +3 Emergency Right Reserve. Under the EAS, the ASEAN, the EAS Foreign Ministers meeting, they exchange views on regional global issues, again on those issues I mentioned already, particularly Ukraine, Middle East, here back in region South China Sea, Korean Peninsula, in Myanmar. Again, for the EAS, it is a forum for promoting strategic dialogue and cooperation. Of course, this is getting elevated and validated every time they meet at the level as foreign minister, economic ministers, particularly at the leaders level. So there's been a dramatic development. Of course, this year, what's important about the EAS is that this is the 20th anniversary of the EAS. So this year, two things are going to be very important here. One, of course, is that we adopt the thematic statements or thematic issues that has been discussed. At the same time, there will be other issues as well. But for the thematic statements, clearly the minister agree on 6 of them. Okay, ranging from the ES leader statement on inclusivity and statement, but all the statement will be adopted by the leaders, not by the foreign ministers. Also on the promoting localization on, well, in the anticipatory action for disaster preparedness and response, on combating online scams and related transnational crimes issue, on strengthening energy cooperation, on cultural cooperation, and of course, on inclusive digital economy. These are the thematic issues that will discuss by the leaders and will issue the statements. At the same time, I think this year, as I mentioned, that we'll be commemorating of the 20th anniversary of the ES. So with that, the leaders expect to issue the Kuala Lumpur Declaration on the 20th anniversary of the ECA Summit. Also, the minister discussed and underscored the importance to ensure that the ES remain relevant and effective and remains to serve as a platform to deal with emerging transboundary challenges, given the currently the rapidly changing regional and global landscape. Other areas that the minister encouraged that we should do more together to promote practical cooperations in the areas of peace and security, connectivity, economic cooperation, trade, sustainable development, climate, environment, and energy, education, health, and maritime cooperation. So this area that the minister believes is important that the EAS would pay more attention and would make more progress. On the ASEAN Regional Forum, this year is that they met for the 32nd time, the AAF ministers, since it was set up when they met for the very first time back in 1994. So today, AAF is considered to be the most inclusive ASEAN-led mechanism with 27 participating countries and serve as a platform to exchange views on current issues, including security, impacting divided region here. Of course, there were, I would say, 5 key issues that were discussed extensively. They discussed many, but 5 that came out the most: the war in Ukraine, the escalating of conflict in wider Middle East region and resulting in humanitarian crisis, tensions in Korean Peninsula, and North Korea continue missile testing, the conflict and human crisis in Myanmar, and the implementation of the 5-point consensus, and of course the current situation in South China Sea. I want to report to you, of course, also beyond this, as a platform for security dialogue, the AOF also promote practical cooperation as well. In fact, we have the AOF Hanoi Plan of Action 2, 2020-2025, and as the Secretary has done the assessment, as of today, we have almost 70% of the implementation rate. 69.1, so I say almost 70%. And of course, the current plan of action is set to expire by the end of this year. And of course, they need to work on the new plan, the successor plan. Of course, also the AOF, they release documents as well to promote transparency. A compendium of best practices on implementation of the International Ship and Port Facility Security Code has been published. And of course, the minister also approved the concept paper for the compendium of best practice on safeguarding and enhancing regional cooperation on ferry safety among AF participants. Every year, they are of course published by the ASEAN chair, and that's the AF Annual Security Outlook. This year, we have 20 countries participating in submitting the contribution there. Besides all of this, we had 4 trilateral meetings, meaning the ASEAN sectoral dialogue partners. We had with Brazil, Norway, Switzerland, and Turkey. These trilateral meetings focus on reviewing progress of the cooperation between ASEAN and each of the sectoral dialogue partners, and at the same time, looking at other issues of mutual interest, something that we'd like to see continue to move ahead, where we can take advantage of. Of course, as you know, Turkey has become a dialogue partner of ASEAN, which was discussed also at the moment we were reviewing. And I think this is something that our member state will continue to discuss. In summary, I can say that we had discussed a lot of issues on just a very short period of time. Once again, let me say that there were 156 bilateral meetings, 27 documents were released, okay? 1,204 media outlets participate in the media coverage. So that's many things. I think I spent a lot of time already, maybe, but I will be delighted to welcome any questions, any comments that you may have. Certainly want to develop, but I believe I gave you the full reports on what transpired in KL last week. With that, I thank you.
Thank you, SG Dr. Kao. We will now proceed to the Q&A session. For those present at the ASEAN Hall, please raise your hand if you wish to ask a question. And for our ACTC participants, please submit your questions through the chat feature in the Zoom platform. Kindly state your name, institution, and the question.
My name is Nada from the Jakarta Globe. Mr. Secretary General, you mentioned that the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, the RCEP, is one of the possible shock absorbers during the latest developments. I wonder for talks of possibly accepting new members into the RCEP, considering Sri Lanka, Chile, and Hong Kong, I believe, have expressed interest to join the RCEP. And the second part of the question is, you mentioned that China is committed to sign the Shanfest deal without reservations. I wonder if there is like a time frame, or when will China sign the Shanfest protocol? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. On OSAF, this discussion now is to convene the OSCE summit back to back with the 47th summit in October. I believe that this is ongoing under the leadership of Malaysia as chair of ASEAN. Yes, for ASEAN, I can say that ASEAN member states welcome countries that are interested to accede to OSCE. So we have, of course, not just country, but of course economy also. We have Bangladesh, we have Sri Lanka, we have Chile, and we have Hong Kong. In fact, there's been discussion, of course, also welcome to link up between OSCE and other free trade areas as well. So this is something that I think it's ongoing discussions. That's why we have the OSCE support unit in place to work on this. But I would say that that is something that the member states are welcome. And that's why I think it would be very good for the leaders to have the OSCE summit later this year. With regard to SONFES and it was China, there's no time frame at the moment. There's been ongoing discussions. Again, the decision will rest entirely with member states on how to move forward on that. Of course, I can say that ideally, we like to have all the P5s come at one time. This is something that is in the interest of the member state. But we of course explore all possibilities, meaning that whatever is important for SONFES, because it's important for ASEAN in terms of having the nuclear weapon state recognizing by acceding to the SONFES treaty here, the protocol SONFES treaty. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, SG Dr. Kao. Next question, please.
My name is Akbar from Japanese newspaper Asahi Shimbun. How do you evaluate the discussions related various topics to the US tariffs, especially during AMM and especially during PMC with US? I understand that during Joint Economic Task Force it was discussed. And what is the next strategy for ASEAN? And the second is, how do you evaluate the absence of DPRK during IRF? I mean, I think it's the first in 25 years. How ASEAN see this? Thank you.
Thank you very much. As I said earlier, the ASEAN Foreign Minister was briefed by the ASEAN Economic Strategy Task Force on what they have done in terms of pulling together all of the issues. But what was interesting is that the minister were able to give additional issues to the task force to review, not just receiving, but of course the task force was welcome inputs from the ASEAN foreign ministers. We know that this is something that all the governments ASEAN member states are working very closely with the United States on the one hand, of course, working together within ASEAN on the particular among us. We work together, particularly we have our own FTA after. One of the latest developments I can share with you is that the ASEAN economics already agree on the follow-up rate of the ASEAN trade in goods agreement. It's ready for signing. Yeah. And that will not only bring down tariffs to 0.0, but also to reduce the non-tariff barriers as well. And that will be, as some of the economists say, that will be the first important step to become an ASEAN single market. So that is, in a way, is a very important impetus for ASEAN. And that's why the economic task force, the task force right now looking at what ASEAN need to do in order to minimize the impact of the tariffs on the ASEAN economy as a whole. Again, I think this is very, very important for ASEAN. Now, with regard to the DPRK, as you know, that the DPRK does not have all relations with ASEAN member states. Okay, it has some, does not have all. And the reason I want to be very frank with you, that between Malaysia and the DPRK, they do not have diplomatic relations at this moment. And therefore, they did not participate. In the past, well, in the past, at the AOF, the DPRK would send their foreign minister. But in recent years, say before COVID, and then COVID, they only send their ambassador that based in the capital of ASEAN member state. But since this time that the DPRK does not have its mission, does not have its embassy, because it does not have the diplomatic relations with Malaysia, and therefore they were absent in that regard.
Thank you, SG. Due to time constraints, we will now take the last question from the floor.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Eno from National Radio. Mr. SG, you were mentioned about the membership of Timor-Leste. So once it's declared, my question is, will it be followed by receiving the support from other members for Timor-Leste, especially for the development support for the country? And the second, if I may, could you please to share anything about the visit of Mr. Foreign Minister this morning in Secretary? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. You know, Timor-Leste will become a full member by October this year. I think it's moving forward. So we're now looking at on the post, what we call once we become a full member, what we need to do, the adjustments, the arrangements on both sides, on the ASEAN side, because on Timor-Leste side, we are moving forward. The Secretary is supporting member state, the chair, to move forward on this. So there's going to be some major adjustment here and there, but we are ready. I think it's no problem at all. We of course alert Timor-Leste already what they need to do. One thing, for example, member states, those member states that do not have the embassy set up yet in Delhi, they will have to set up the embassy in Delhi. Yes, but I understand that Timor-Leste has already set up their embassy in all ASEAN member states. So that meaning that we have to reciprocate based on the agreement, based on the commitment there. So I do not want to go to all the details, but we have a list. We're now working on this. Yeah. So, but yes, also it means the Timor-Leste economy will be hooked up with the ASEAN economy because they're going to be signing a lot of agreements. So the door will open for Timor-Leste, and we welcome, of course, our member states and our partners to invest, support Timor-Leste, to visit Timor-Leste as our new member. So we welcome that. I think it's important for us to see the development of Timor-Leste. Like, for example, all other new members of ASEAN, once they become a full member, the economy will be accelerated, the economic development will be accelerated. You can see already in other new members, member states. With regard to the visit by His Excellency Foreign Minister, Honorable Foreign Minister, so this morning, I think I can say it's his first official visit to the ASEAN headquarters and Secretariat. And we had a very fruitful discussion. We know that, but in fact, we know already Indonesia has always supported ASEAN, full commitment for ASEAN. And the visit clearly signaled that on the one hand, but of course, we are hoping to prepare for the visit of the president during the ASEAN Day on August 8th. But again, we also look at the renovation and improvement facilities here at the ASEAN headquarters. That I think Indonesia is committed to support that as well as the Minister State that we will focus on the library, of course. We will have a new library here. We will have an ASEAN museum, ASEAN library here. This were two of the issues that we discussed. So to make facility more forthcoming to support the work here. But at the same time, I got very good commitment that Indonesia will continue to support the work of ASEAN and to make sure that ASEAN become here the center of diplomacy, what we do here. All right. Thank you very much for your presence, and thank you for your time, and of course for your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, SG Dr. Kao, for your views and comments. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's briefing by the Secretary General of ASEAN. Thank you for your participation and have a good day.